How's it going, old schoolers? You were kicking it old school at Russell JS, and I am your host, Russell JS. Um, right now, as we speak, I have a video that is uploading. The first one I did, I want to go ahead and just do another versus album, track by track. Wow, it's uploading as we speak. You know, I hope that it uploads immediately. Sometimes my phone kind of, you know, doesn't upload. It fails, and I have to re-upload it and go through all the trouble and all the ugh. But here's hoping that it will upload this time. I did Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 versus Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 2. Now, if this video uploads before the last one, I'm not going to give no spoilers. I'm not going to tell you. It's going to be a little bit of surprise. Once again, I have another album versus album, marked down in my book. Two more artists, two more bands that put out albums, back in the early 1990s. They are by far two of the biggest bands in the world. First off, you got the boys from Pasadena. I think is one of the greatest bands in the world. So great that I was dating a girl in high school in the 90s. When she told me that they sucked, that was it. I said, bye. So long. Don't diss, just say that, you don't really care for them. You don't have to say they suck. But you know what? If you don't, it would have been a lot easier if she would have said, oh, they're not really my cup of tea, but, hey, if you like them, that's fine. So what we got now for this one, we got Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge versus You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best, the hottest band in the world, Kiss. Now, this one right here in particular, you got Van Halen's third studio effort with frontman Sammy Hagar, and what was it? They did, after 1984, David Lee Roth left the band, and there was tension between, I guess, Eddie and Dave, and they went ahead and, in 1985, they ousted him out of the band. If you go back to that movie, The Wedding Singer, with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, some will say, because there's this turmoil among Van Halen fans, like, oh, Van Halen should have given up after Dave left the band, or, because Sammy sucks, or, oh, Dave sucks, he's just an egotistical idiot. Me, on the other hand, being a Van Halen fan, it doesn't matter who the lead singer is. Do I believe David Lee Roth can be an egotistical idiot? Yes, I do. He's narcissistic, he's egotistical, he's just David Lee Roth. Just everything went to his head. But Sammy Hagar is a seasoned pro. Because, let me put it to you this way. When Sammy Hagar was going out on tour with Montrose, when Van Halen were cutting their teeth, graduating from the backyard kegger parties and the high school dances to playing sleazy bars and shady nightclubs and the LA, band, club circuit. And pretty much since Van Halen, at one point when they first got big, when they signed their record deal and everything, one of the times they opened up for a lot of great bands at the time, like Journey, Black Sabbath, and of course Montrose, which Sammy Hagar happened to be in. So when you think about it, technically, at one point Van Halen opened for Sammy Hagar. But, enough of that. There's also drama with Kiss fans, about what lineup is better. My favorite lineup of Kiss is the original, the OGs, that consist of Gene, Paul, Peter, and Ace. But I also have a soft spot for the era between Lick It Up and Revenge. When Eric Carr had been in the band for some time, and, they did go through, after Ace left, they went through a strew of guitar players. Vinnie Vincent was there for a short time, and Mark St. John was there for a short time. But Bruce Kulick, he stuck with the band from 1985 to, well, I guess 1996 when they decided to embark on the reunion tour with Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. But, at this time, this album was their heaviest to date. And at the time, Eric Carr sadly passed away. What's weird was Eric Carr and Freddie Mercury both passed away a day apart from one another. I mean, Eric Carr from cancer, Freddie Mercury from AIDS. And, well, here's the thing. Kiss did record a track for the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack for God Gave Rock and Roll to You, and around the time, Eric Carr did appear in the video, but he had to leave the band for medical reasons. He was hoping to come back to the band. He was going to beat cancer. And, this is a great album, but I think it was shady on Gene and Paul's part, just to go, because they went ahead and they got Eric Singer, who played drums in Paul Stanley's solo band at the time. And, Eric Singer, don't get me wrong, great drummer. I mean, his credits include Lita Ford, Alice Cooper, and Black Sabbath. And I'm kind of glad that Kiss is calling it quits, because 20 years it's really been half tribute band and half Kiss, because they're having Tommy Thayer on lead guitar, which he's not a bad guitar player. He's no Ace Frehley, he's no Bruce Kulick, he's no Mark St. John or Vinnie Vincent. He's a pretty good guitar player. And like I said before, Eric Singer is a really good drummer. But the problem I've had, and I tried to like it, I tried to get into it, but I really couldn't get into the whole, replacements, where it's fake Frehley and cheater Chris, because that's pretty much what, their claim to fame will be for the rest of their lives. Because people are going to say, oh, that's cheater Chris and fake Frehley. And, I lost respect for Eric Singer, and I lost respect for Tommy Thayer for that, because all they cared about at that point was a paycheck. And what was sad about that was for 20 years, after the reunion tour was successful, the Psycho Circus tour and the farewell tour were all successful, Gene and Paul wanted to continue on, and they decided to keep on going on tour with the makeup and put the two other guys in the band wearing Ace and Peter's makeup. And the only thing that Gene and Paul had for the last 20 years was just living off nostalgia. I mean, to me, the band was great when they took off the makeup and they had two other guys. I mean, it showed they were growing as artists. They were growing as a band. Just like when Sammy Hagar came to Van Halen. Van Halen was growing as artists and a band. But enough of that talk. Let's see how these two bad Oscars rank up, shall we? Like I said, once again, and I forgot to add in the last video, because I must have got excited on doing this. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit a like, subscribe, leave comments down the box below, ring that bell for notifications, and, I've got like 48 subscribers. Let's build this. Tell your friends about it. Also, I'm trying my best to do weekly NARC videos. I know that I've been slacking on that, and it's not easy when you're working two jobs and taking care of other priorities that are more important. Like, for example, I had to get my car fixed, and I'm going to be getting Mustang Sally fixed, and unfortunately, probably within a year, I'm going to have to trade her in and part company. And at times, she is part of the video channel. But, sometimes, machines, vehicles, TVs, everything is meant to be replaced. Just like Paul Sheldon in the movie Misery after finishing a book. He has one Pall Mall cigarette and a glass of wine. I think that's how that movie went. All right. Now, let's see. Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge versus Kiss Revenge. How did both of these albums rank up? All right, track number 1 from Van Halen, Pound Cake versus Unholy. I'm going with Pound Cake because Unholy, it's Gene Simmons being egotistical. It's like he's trying to recreate the song God of Thunder, and he's trying to be real heavy, and I don't know. From Van Halen, Judgment Day versus Take It Off. I love both these tracks. I mean, it's just that actually, you know what, I like Take It Off better than I like Judgment Day. Spanked versus Tough Love. I gotta go with Spanked. Runaround versus Spit. Man, what can I say? I love them both. I can't pick. This might be a doozy, so therefore they each get a point. Alright, Pleasure Dome versus God Gave Rock and Roll to You. You know what? I'm going with Kiss. In and Out versus Domino. I dig them both. They each get a point. Man on a Mission versus Heart of Chrome. Van Halen. The Dream Is Over versus Thou Shall Not. Yeah. I'm going to go with, you know what? They're both great. They're both great, so I'm going with both. Right Now versus Every Time I Look at You. Right Now, that became a big staple. I remember when I first saw that video in 1992. And, just the fact that, I knew of Van Halen. I knew their songs and everything, when I was a young kid. But I never knew it was Eddie that was playing synthesizer. And, when I saw, you remember how that video for Right Now goes where they're saying all kinds of things, what's going on in the world, starting each sentence off with right now. Right now, somebody's having unprotected sex. Right now, opportunity. I mean, it was such a great video. It was teaching us a lot about, how we are, as people and what's going on in the world. I mean, it won them a music video award at the MTV Awards. And every time I look at you, Paul Stanley, I have to say, is a really great songwriter. I mean, him and Gene Simmons both are great songwriters when they just put their egos aside. And, what can I say? I gotta go with both of them. 3:16 versus Paralyzed. Paralyzed is a great tune, but I love the fact that Eddie, the reason behind 3:16 is because that's Wolfgang's birthday, his son, who was in the band from 2004 up until Eddie's untimely death, 4 years ago. And I love the fact that, I'm on the verge of making an instrumental song on my guitar, called 3511, which 3511, it's inspired by this. It's, what it is my daughter's birthday, March the 5th, 2011. So I'm going to go with 3:16 for personal reasons. Top of the World versus I Just Wanna. You know what? I actually like both those songs. I really do. I love how they sound musically, and I love how powerful they sound, so I'm giving them each a point. And of course, Revenge has 12 tracks. For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge had 11. I added a bonus track which was called The Wish, which is yet to be released. Nobody has even heard it. And because nobody has heard it, and I did it just to be fair, it's going up against Car Jam 1981, which is awesome that they actually had a recording of Eric Carr putting music together with drums and guitar. And, it goes to show how much of an outstanding musician Eric Carr really was. And because we've never heard The Wish, I'm going with Car Jam 1981. So now, the end results of this. We've got Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge with 9 points, Kiss Revenge with 8 points. So, the winner the winner is, of course, Van Halen, Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Now, here's the thing. I'm not, I'm going by what I like. I love both these albums, but I'm trying to see which, I always like to see which is better. And Van Halen, and here's a little trivia for those of you that don't know. Kiss was on tour. I think they were in support with either Rock and Roll Over. This is back in '77. I think they were touring in support of Rock and Roll Over, and they were also putting together Love Gun at the same time. And Gene decided he was going to go check out the music scene in LA. They did a stop in Hollywood, and he caught Van Halen doing a club gig, I think either at the Troubadour or Gazzari's, one of the big clubs that was in LA on the Sunset Strip. And back then they were calling themselves Mammoth. And Gene went ahead and said, I want to fly you out to New York. I want to record you. And, I think he suggested that he have the brothers call themselves the band Van Halen as opposed to Montrose. And even David Lee Roth agreed to that. So when you think about it, Gene Simmons discovered Van Halen. I mean, they went ahead and recorded a demo, I think, but nothing came of it. And then Warner Brothers did pick them up. And they got signed, and the rest is history. You had that classic self-titled debut album of Van Halen from 1978. It goes to show how, Gene Simmons can be egotistical. I mean, when Kiss first started, Kiss's goal was to destroy all the other bands, and they did succeed to a degree. I mean, you think about it. Their first gig was in 1973 on New Year's Eve. They opened up, they played their first major gig. They just got signed in 1973, and they were getting ready to put their self-titled debut album together. And they got invited to play at the New York Academy of Music, opening for Blue Oyster Cult. Blue Oyster Cult was going to be, everybody felt they were going to be the big band that was going to, be iconic and everything like that. But once Kiss got done with their set, Blue Oyster Cult took the stage, and they wanted more Kiss. And then I believe it was the following year, either the following year to this day, or it was 2 years later to the day, Blue Oyster Cult would open for Kiss. And Kiss did that with a lot of other, bands of the time, like Sabbath, and I think Ted Nugent, and they were out to destroy everybody, But here you have it. A lot of these other bands, before and after Kiss, are actually, music-wise, are, they're more superior to Kiss. Kiss, like I said, I love Kiss. They're one of my favorite bands, and so is Van Halen. But Kiss actually counted more on the theatrical concert than they did music. I mean, I could see why Ace and Peter were unhappy later on because they wanted to be the rock and rollers. They wanted it where they were Keith Richards and Ringo Starr in a different band. And they were getting burned out. I could see why they, took advantage of the excesses because, they got burned out with, Gene and Paul. They wanted to merchandise the band. Before you know it, you had Kiss color forms, Kiss coloring books, Kiss lunch boxes, Kiss dolls, Kiss pillows, Kiss blankets, Kiss towels, a Kiss pinball machine. I mean, they went beyond where when you went to see a band, there was more to the band than just a patch you put on your denim jacket or a poster you could slap on your wall or a t-shirt. I mean, they just merchandised the life out of their band. But, you know what? It is what it is. And it goes to show you that, Kiss isn't all that, no matter how much Gene and Paul want to think they are. Well, that's all I got for this video. Remember, once again, if you're new to the channel, hit a like. Please hit a like. I encourage you to hit a like, subscribe, leave comments down in the box below. Nothing negative. Let's be positive. Let's, get along. I've got other stuff in the making. I've been buying some old school stuff on eBay. I want to show you what I've acquired so far. Look at right here. This tabletop electronic game that's kind of a knockoff of Galaga or Galaxian. This Tiger handheld pinball, electronic pinball. This Return of the Jedi one. I mean, I've just acquired this book about pinball. I mean, I'm just acquiring a lot of cool things. I mean, here's the granddaddy of them all that I paid too much for and it was kind of broken. This tabletop Kiss pinball machine, battery operated. Now, the thing was, I ended up, I think I got carried away. I ended up paying $176 for this bad Oscar. But it was missing a leg. The box was rough. And, it's also missing a sign that's supposed to go on top of here that said it was the Kiss logo. But it looks just like the old school Bally pinball machine that came out in 78 or 79. Really cool stuff. And you know what? It makes good home decor too. But yeah, I've been going ahead buying a lot of things on eBay, a couple DVDs, some CDs, and you know what? I'm going to be doing some more. I mean, like I said in this book, my little book right here, my little black book, we're going to do Megadeth Countdown to Extinction versus Metallica's Black Album, Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz versus Dio's Holy Diver. I'm also going to get ready to do Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack versus the Wayne's World soundtrack. I mean, I'm going to get more stuff going. And I'm going to try and put out as many weekly NARC videos as possible. But, as usual, I want to say rock on. Listen to some hard rock of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Play some Atari, play some Nintendo. Play some arcade games. Watch some 80s movies. Keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it chill. Take care of yourself and the ones you love. And as always, Godspeed. May the Force be with you always.